Welcome to our new show, Awaken Within with Sherilyn.
So say you're a little child, a little boy, right? And you hit your knee and you hurt and you want to cry, and your mom or your dad says, little boys don't cry, and you suck that emotion in, and emotions have to be expressed out and released. So suck it in, or we hold in a cry, or some, or in a life you were sacrificed and killed and you had something traumatic. All of these things go into your emotional plane. So here you are, the physical you, right? And then above you is your soul. Above that is your higher self, your essential self, your oversoul, and your I am presence, and then the great I am. So all of these energies are actually hovering above you. So if you have you, and then around you your emotional plane, your mental plane, your spiritual plane, and then all those God aspects of yourself, through all of those blocks, all of those unexpressed emotions, all of that gunk, in chapter 6 it's called gunk, that blocks, because that's in your auric field. So that's very, very dense. And so what happens? It prevents any of those higher aspects from you, where, I am worthy, I am good enough. And a lot of those things that we're dealing with come from childhood. So when you were a little kid, 3 to 7 years old, what were you looking at, right? And so I'll take you to your heart. And it's like, okay, go back and paint the picture of your relationship with your mother. What was that like? Did you feel loved? And I'll have you feel it. Did you feel worthy? And it's so interesting, because no matter what they say, my whole body will start to shake with resistance. Even though they don't even know what their truth is, spirit moves in, and I'll feel the resistance for them. And I'm like, well, okay, let's really go back to that picture and see what it's like. And then all of a sudden they'll have a breakthrough, they'll cry, they'll something, and it will bring up that emotion so that we can address it. And then I expand the picture, because it really recognizing that you created every experience you're having, you created it. You created it either through intention or through default. So what does that look like for you, right? And so I have to be mindful, I have to be compassionate for myself. I realize I created this. How did I get here? So now, how do I change those thoughts? By becoming aware of your thoughts. And so, and holding yourself accountable. So if you're finding yourself starting to have a negative thought, whoa, okay, I need to cancel that thought. I need to figure out why I'm still having those kind of thoughts. And let me rephrase it in a positive, uplifting way. And so how do you know when you're having negative thoughts? How do you know when you still have stuff to clear and heal? Because it's so amazing. The universe will bring those people to us that agitate us, that infuriate us, that really just tick us off. That's your mirror.
What's your mirror?
That's your mirror. And so because your soul has its own personality, your soul is the detached observer. Your soul encourages and is compassionate. So if you're not in those three little adjectives, then you're an ego and you still have stuff to clear. So your higher self will then send you all those triggers for you to clear. And then you have to say, okay, I get it. And your guidance system is how you feel it. So you stop throughout the day and you check in with how you're feeling, right? If I'm feeling good, I'm feeling loved, I'm feeling worthy, I'm having the right sort of thoughts. I can continue. If I'm frustrated from my boss, if that cup of coffee didn't wake me up and I'm still agitated, if I'm being cut off in traffic, if things are just not in the flow, that means you're not having the right thoughts. So then I stop and I clear that, right? And I disconnect from that. I move back into that heart space. Now let me have a better thinking thought. Let me set a clear new intention. And now let me move again. So we don't want to stay in autopilot, just keep through the whole day in that anxiety. We want to stop it. You know, I had this amazing experience, oh my gosh, years ago when I had my store. And as I'm pulling up to my store, I get a flat tire. I mean, a simple flat tire. And I was annoyed by the flat tire, right? Because I had an appointment I had to make. So my mom came, she watched the store for me. My husband changed the tire. I made my appointment. I came back to the store. Everything was fine. Later on, in the wee hours of the morning, back then, my power number, my birthday, 413, was when they would come in and visit me. So, 4:13 in the morning, an outside voice says, disconnect from an uneven temper. Well, I just jumped out of bed. Right? And I said, who's there? I'm home by myself. And the voice said it again, disconnect from an uneven temper. And I said, oh, you mean how I let getting a flat tire annoy me and take me outside the space of my heart. And so I got up. I'm like, let me go write this down. I'm not going to remember this the next day. I don't talk like that, right? Disconnect from an uneven temper.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh?
Right.
And so I said, okay, fine. I'm ready to go back to sleep now. Is there anything else? And the voice said, love is all there is. And so the key to getting into your heart space, the key to this ascension is to move into the space of your heart. Let nothing take you outside the space of your heart. That means nothing takes you into judgment, nothing takes you into envy, nothing takes you into anger, nothing takes you into discontent, nothing takes you into any of those emotions that are anything other than pure love. I don't have to like what you're doing, I don't have to agree with what you're doing, but I have to love you. And when you can get to that place, then you're moving to transformation, the next step. And in transformation, you start to pulse. You know, when I do work on people and I do a couple of sessions on them, after a while they're starting to pulse and vibrate on their own and they're starting to see the colors. So understand, you have all these chakras that have to turn on, right? Your DNA is calibrating and turning on. You're moving from carbon to crystalline, and it's all very electrical. So transformation now is all of these things beginning to happen, and you're going to really start to get all those symptoms of ascension, right? And for me, oh my gosh, when I close my eyes, I see colors. So back then, the colors would spiral around and just be in movement. And anytime something was about to happen, like a visitation, the colors would start to go this fast. I'm like, you got my attention, what's up? And the next thing I know, someone would be standing there, or I would be someplace, or they'd be touching me, hugging me, doing something. So very, and then the whole body would start to pulse and vibrate. And so all of that led up to then the beings coming in, and there were 6 of them that worked with me. At any given time, I have up to 24 guides. So they came in and surrounded me and literally plugged something into me where I would jump every hour on the hour with all of this electrical energy. And that happened in May of 2012. And then September of 2012, I lay there and watched as my light body descended into me. And then they showed me that I hold the templates for 5, 6, and 7D for humanity. The star system. And so then they started turning things on where I actually do energy work to clear, to remove, and to activate. And so then the third part is transfiguration. That's when your light body moves into you. That's the process. Yeah.
How do you find your whole heart?
So there is an exercise that I do. I walk people down into their hearts. How do you move into your heart? It's not always the easiest thing because we have heart walls, we have all of these emotions that are blocking us, and sometimes our hearts are hardened, aren't they? But we just have to work at it daily. We have to choose daily. We have to choose that our I am presence is the divine director of my material experience daily, and literally walk into the space of your heart. And I teach people how to get there. And so it's a practice, you know, after your prayer, after your meditation, move to that space and actually feel what it feels like to be down in your heart. And then check in and make sure you're there throughout the day. Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm going to find that picture and show you that picture that Sherilyn took.
I was so interested after you said that.
It's pretty amazing. But who we are as divine beings, that process, it's real, and we can no longer hide. Once we start to connect in back to who we are, it shows up in a most amazing way. Words just can't even